Hey, everybody, this is Counselor and Professor Rob Alexander. And we had such a terminology heavy, wordy chapter last time with the female anatomy. And it's going to continue to be very wordy and very biology and anatomy focused. We're going to talk about the male anatomy today. Um, Let me bring up the screen. I want you guys to take notes. And that's one of the beautiful things about being able to listen to a recording, because you could always play it back and stop it, pause it, well, when you want to look at vocabulary terms. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about chapter 4. So the main topics that are going to be discussed are going to be the male sex organs. What are they for? Male sexual physiology, right? The sexual structures of both females and males derive from the same embryonic tissue, as I told you guys in the last chapter. So certain body parts are homologous, right? For example, what would be the scrotum in a woman is the vulva. What would be the glans penis in a man for a woman would be the clitoris, right? So when the tissue receives certain signals, certain hormonal signals to begin differentiation in the male, the embryonic reproductive organs begin to change in their appearance dramatically, right? So like female sex organs, the male sex organs serves several functions. In their reproductive role, a man's sex organs manufacture and store gametes and can deliver them to a woman's reproductive tract. Some of the organs, especially the penis, provide a source of physical pleasure for both man and his partner. The penis is the organ through which both sperm and urine pass. It's almost like a utility knife. It's like a Swiss Army knife because it has all these functions, right? Where the shaft of the penis contains two corpora cavernosa and a corpus spongiosum, which I'm going to break down on a smaller video when I zoom in on the male pelvis, which fill with blood during arousal, causing an erection. So the head is called the glans penis. In uncircumcised men, it is covered by foreskin. So myth about the penis equate to his size with masculinity and sexual prowess, but this is far from true, right? The scrotum is a pouch of skin that hangs at the root of the penis and holds the testes, right? So, but if not removed, that foreskin could lead to, a bad odor, a creamy type of smelly discharge called smegma, right? So, folks that are uncircumcised, they have to pull back that skin and clean the tip of the penis. External structures. So the shaft consists of the following: the glans penis, the urethral opening, the corona, the frenulum, 3 parallel columns of erectile tissue, 2 corpora cavernosa, and the corpus spongiosum. At the root and the tips of the corpora cavernosa form the crura, right? So the urethra runs from the bladder through the prostate and the corpus spongiosum, right? External structures continued. In an unaroused state, the average penis is slightly under 3 inches long, although there is a great deal of variation. When erect penises become more uniform in size, smaller penises gain more value. So mean erect penis length is about 5.5 inches. That's the average. Size is determined by hereditary factors. So I have always been told, and I've learned that an erection is the great equalizer, right? Now, this diagram right here shows circumcised penis, and the figure on the right shows an uncircumcised penis. So the figure on the left shows a long shaft from the base of the penis, and the end of the penis contains a corona, right? That's that ridge around the penis. The glans penis and a small opening at the end of the penis, which is the urethral opening. The bag of skin hanging below the penis contains testes, also known as the scrotum. So the figure on the right is a replica of the figure on the left, except it contains foreskin at the end of the penis. And culturally, depending on the person, the family, some people view circumcised penises as more attractive. Other people view the sensitivity that folks have with uncircumcised penis as being superior. So it kind of just depends on your background and how you view it. Right, so this is the underside of the penis. It contains a skin that moves up and down The base of the last section of the penis contains the corona and the frenulum. Okay, that's that little circular ridge around the penis. The two symmetrical structures at the end of the penis is the glans penis, and the opening at the top center is the urethral opening. So this figure on the left shows the cross section of the penis, which contains two sections called the corpora cavernosa. Below the corpora cavernosa is the penile urethra. Below the penile urethra is a corpus spongiosum. Figure on the right shows a side view of the penis with the right ends on the corpora cavernosa called the crura in the forms of tails. Now, a scrotum or a scrotal sac is a pouch of skin hanging loosely at the root of the penis that holds the two testes, more heavily pigmented than skin elsewhere, sparsely covered by hair, divided in the middle of the ridge of skin. Testes are pulled closer to the body when a man is sexually aroused and when he is cold. These changes are controlled by the dartos muscles and fibrous cremaster muscles. They all work together. Now, further on internal structures, the testes, singular testis, or testicles, the male reproductive glands or gonads, sperm production and hormone production. So each is suspended by a spermatic cord. Each contains about 1,000 seminiferous tubules within which spermatogenesis, production of sperm, takes place. The cryptochidism are undescended testes, which typically call for operation. So when your testes don't descend, it makes it harder for sperm production, almost impossible. So a young boy that is going through cryptochidism may not be able to have children if he doesn't have surgery or if his testes or if his balls don't drop. Epididymis and vas deferens carry sperm from each testis to the urethra for ejaculation. So vas deferens joins the seminal vesicle to form the ejaculatory duct. Vas deferens is the usual point of sterilization, of vasectomy. And since the vas deferens are relatively easy to locate, this is the point of sterilization, right? The seminal vesicles, two glands at the back of the bladder, secrete a fluid that makes up about 70% of seminal fluid or semen that nourishes and transports sperm. So a vasectomy, when they cut and snip that vas deferens, that is the ultimate birth control, right? For many men around my age that have already fathered and they're looking forward to the rest of their life, with their wife, girlfriend, or significant other without any worries, vasectomy became a very viable option for them. Internal structures. So the prostate gland encircles the urethra just below the bladder and produces about 30% of seminal fluid. The Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland below the prostate secrete a thick, clear mucus prior to ejaculation. Right? So Cowper's gland is also synonymous with the bulbourethral gland. Ejaculation is a process by which semen is forcefully expelled from the penis. So this right here is a side view of the male sex organ. The cavity on the top is the bladder, and to its right is a structure called the ureter. To the right of the ureter is the rectum. To the right of the ureter is a seminal vesicle, and at the bottom of the ureter is the ejaculatory duct. Small tube-like structure from the ejaculatory duct and a small tube-like structure from below the bladder lead to the penis at the urethral opening. So again, the penis is kind of the jack of all trades. It's a Swiss Army knife because you can urinate out of it, men come out of it, pre-ejaculative fluid. The prostate gland is below the bladder, and at the bottom right is the Cowper's gland. At the bottom of the rectum is the anus. At the bottom left of the bladder is the pubic bone. So the penis starts from left on the pubic bone, and inside the penis is the corpus spongiosum, which flanks the urethra. The bottom section of the penis is the glans penis. The hanging sac to the right of the penis contains the testes, above which is the epididymis, and the bottom layer of the hanging sac is called the scrotum. From between the scrotum and the testes, a tube-like structure marked spermatic cord goes up across the penis and changes to the vas deferens and goes over the pubic bone and connects to the ejaculatory ducts. This figure right here shows the cross-section of the testes, right? So inside of the spermatic cord from the top are blood vessels and nerves which connect to the outer layer of the head of the epididymis. A tubular structure marked the vas deferens from spermatic cord comes down and arranges itself in the form of needles called the tail of the epididymis at the bottom. And then it goes up and changes the body of the epididymis, which is connected to the branches within the testes. The branches are called the seminiferous tubules, and the gap between the branches is called the Leydig or interstitial cells. The outer layer of the testes covers the section below the spermatic cord. Other structures. So male breasts contain the same basic structure as the female breast. We both contain the nipple, the areola, fat, and glandular tissue. It's just women have bigger, more pronounced glandular tissue, right? And more pronounced underlying fat, right? So gynecomastia is a swelling or the enlargement of the male breast triggered by a decrease in the amount of testosterone compared with estrogen. Although the anus is used primarily for excretion, it can be stimulated during sexual activity. So most erotic sensation is derived from penetration, right? When that prostate is massaged through the anus, can bring about very enjoyable sexual pleasure. All right, take a little time. You might want to pause your video to look at some of the definitions for penis: root of the penis, shaft, glans penis, corona, the frenulum, foreskin, corpus cavernosa, corpus spongiosum, the crura, urethra, scrotum. Summary table of the male sexual anatomy. Let's take some time and look at the definitions for testes, spermatic cord, seminiferous tubules, epididymis, vas deferens, ejaculatory duct, the seminal vesicle, prostate gland, Cowper's gland. All right. Continued. The urethral opening. Look at that definition for anus, perineum, pelvic floor. The male reproductive process include manufacture of hormones, production of delivery of sperm. Men do not have a monthly reproductive cycle, but they do experience regular fluctuations of hormone levels, and their moves may also follow a cyclical pattern, right? So that means a cycle that can happen throughout the year or the month, right? Ebbs and flows in your hormones, testosterone. Some of the sex hormones have to do with the Leydig cells or interstitial cells located within the connective tissues of the testes. They secrete androgens, which are male hormones. Most important of the androgens is testosterone, a steroid hormone synthesized from cholesterol that triggers sperm production and regulates the sex drive, responsible for development of secondary sex characteristics, right? So some age-related symptoms include erectile problems that may be reversed through testosterone therapy, right? Some men have erectile issues because of their drop in testosterone, and this can be corrected with the proper treatment. So when we talk about the male reproductive hormones, these are some of the definitions you want to look at. The testosterone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, the follicle stimulating hormone, and where they're produced. So testosterone is produced in the testes and the adrenal gland, right? The GnRH produced in the hypothalamus. That's a part of the brain, right? Follicle stimulating hormone in the pituitary gland, luteinizing hormone in the pituitary. Inhibin is in the testes. Oxytocin is hypothalamus and the testes, and relaxin is in the prostate. So the male cycles, both men and women have hormonal cycles resulting in changes in mood, behavior, and sexual desire. Men's testosterone levels appear to cycle throughout the day, month, and possibly season. Levels appear to be lowest in the evening and the highest in the morning, and levels decline with age. During sleep, men experience spontaneous erections, right? Some people call it nocturnal orgasm. Some people call it a wet dream, right? But I definitely remember when I had mine, and I was all kind of shocked and confused. I didn't know what was going on. The spermatogenesis. From puberty on, spermatogenesis production of the male gametes or sperm takes place within the testes. Every day, a fertile man produces several hundred million. Upon ejaculation, sperm in the tail of epididymis and expelled into the vas deferens are then propelled into the urethra, where they are mixed with semen, seminal fluid, before they are ejaculated through the urethral opening. Sex of the zygote is determined by the chromosomes of the sperm, female X and male Y. All right. So this diagram has to do with spermatogenesis. Take a little time and review the diagram. Talks about how the 46 chromosome divides into two secondary 20, which ends up being 23 chromosomes. And through meiosis, this could take a few hours. The secondary spermatocyte divide into spermatids, and each with 23 chromosomes. So semen production or seminal fluid is the ejaculated liquid that contains spermatozoa. It nourishes the sperm, right? It provides a hospital environment and means of transport if they are deposited within the vagina. Made up of secretions from the seminal vesicles and prostate gland and ejaculated through the urethra. Thick and sticky at first, then becomes liquefied, allowing sperm to swim. They all work together. They need each other. So we talk about homologous organs, or organs that they are very similar to women's. Each of the male sexual structure has a homologous structure or similar characteristic developed from the same cells that develop in female fetus. The presence of that Y chromosome, right? Women being XX and men being XY chromosome result in greater amounts of testosterone development of the male fetus, right? The different hormones are given and correspond while that fetus is in that embryonic. Okay, so this figure shows the homologous structures of the male and female genitalia. The figure on the left shows the male genitalia with the prostate gland colored in violet at the center, right? You want to look at the protruding part of the left in the penis, which contains the following. The corpus cavernosum of the penis starts from below the pubic bone, and then it ends before the glans penis. The corpus spongiosum starts from below the prostate gland, colored in orange, and ends at the end of the penis. It contains the urethra, which is the form of a tubular structure. The light blue color section of the sides of the glans penis is the penile prepuce or foreskin. To the right of the penis is a hanging sac, which contains the testes and the scrotum. The figure on the right shows the female genitalia. The light green color egg-like forms above the center are the ovaries. The green colored layer extending from the left to the right is the labia majora, above which is the labia minora colored in orange. At the center of and above the labia minora is Skene's gland. On the top left of the labia minora, the red color circular structure is the glans clitoris. A worm-like structure from the glans clitoris curves upwards to the right, which is the corpus cavernosum of the clitoris. To the left of the corpus cavernosum of the clitoris is the clitoral prepuce, or the hood, right? Which is homologous to the foreskin, right, of a man's penis. Wow. So we have done so much within the last couple of chapters of learning about different body parts, learning how they intersect with one another and how they work together. This is an amazing chapter to study because this kind of gives you an idea of why different body parts are important and how they function with one another, in tandem with one another. The brain is sending hormones and signals to different parts of the body. The pituitary gland is corresponding with the testes. The hypothalamus is corresponding with different types of parts of the body. So, I love the fact that it's a video where you can rewind it and learn more about it. But I dislike the fact that I'm not live. But we have to do what we can in terms of working through the pandemic. I am Professor Robert. You all have been great. Hopefully you had a chance to take copious notes, and I'll see you guys on chapter 5.